Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker here with a tea guanyin to explore. Tell a little bit more about this tea in just a few moments. Scooping in enough to fill in my 3-ounce Guan here. I want to cover the bottom, say inch to inch and a half. That looks pretty good. This is not the most tightly wrapped, tightly wound, so that may mean that it will vary depending on what kind of tea you put into your Guan and how densely rolled or packed it is, as to how much how much actual tea that would involve. My water's been brought to an early boil, started to kind of rumble, not a full rolling boil, and I want enough water so a little bit is going to rest just above the rim of my lid when I put that on. That looks like a nice amount. Good. A little bit of water above there. Get this kettle out of the way and talk about this tea. This is from Yezi tea. This is their autumn 2013 harvest of tea guanyin. You can get a 5-gram sample for $2.95 currently on the YeziTea.com website. You can find out more information there. Not a lot of... Now, how should I say this? Yezi tea has, they tell the background, the profiles of several of their farmers. For example, you can find that one of their farmers provides all or some of their tea guanyin. A lot of that tea guanyin is from Fujian province. I did not find all the background information directly linked or directly accessible, that easily accessible on the product page. It could be there in some of the details that I may have overlooked, but depending on what's on the content of those pages, some of this information is easier to find for some teas than for others. So, having said that, I'm going to look at this tea, talk about this tea, and kind of start off here with the dry leaf, then look at the wet leaf and the liquor. I'm going to scoop out a little bit here. This has okay, first off, this is one of the greener tea guanyins. There are different degrees of oxidation that can take place with the tea guanyin. There are different degrees of roasting that can, and both of those elements can change the taste, the smell, the character of the tea. I get light floral type notes, a little bit of hyacinth in there, or yeah, hyacinth is what I put my finger on it. A bit of a kind of a sweet sweet pea flower, that kind of smell. A little bit of a woody type element there too. English laurel, some kind of sweet shrub with sweet flowers that's in bloom. Nice kind of cooling type of sensation as I smell this as well. Looking at these leaves, again, not the most tightly rolled or tightly wound, but crinkled, twisted, and a bright green-yellow color. Holding up to, they look to be individual leaves wrapped here. I'm going to guess that these are going to be, say, 2 inches or so in length. At this point, that's just a guess. At a glance here, I don't see a lot of darker colors on this that might indicate some oxidation has taken place. So this is going to be one of those that's more categorized in that qingxiang, which is that how could you say, light, that green fragrance, light fragrance is the rough translation there. So putting that back into the pouch there, I'm going to angle my lid over on my Guan to the side and get ready to pour this, and then be able to talk about the liquor and the wet leaf. So holding it like so, index finger holds the lid in place. You want that lid kind of angled over to the side so that the air flows through the opening that is now the top, and the liquor pours down through easily. You want to shake those last few drops out. so that the tea leaves inside aren't steeping. Plus, the liquor at the bottom of your Guan is usually more concentrated in flavor, color, and aroma. So that's something to consider too. Let me give this a shake. And now give this a smell. Still the hyacinth type smells, the English laurel type smells coming out. Now, some that I come across, depending on how much heat has been applied and how that heat has been applied, has a more beany, lima bean type of component. This one does not. This one got very gentle in the heat that was applied, in the finishing that was applied to this particular tea. Waiting to see if any other components. Still more of this kind of sweet pea flower notes coming out. So I'm going to set this down, pull out a few leaves. A leaf here. This one, 1.5 inches or so, maybe 2 inches. Ragged along both sides. Don't see dots, blotches of oxidation on that particular leaf. Let's see what else I can pull out here. Pulled out a leaf here. Has not fully unfurled, which is a good sign, because when a tea leaf fully unfurls, then it is closer to having exhausted all the character, all the flavor, all the texture, all the good components into the liquor. There's nothing left to give. In fact, this one is actually looks like there's spots in it in the center that were actually still dry, indicating that the water did not fully get to these leaves. There is more to steep later. A little bit of oxidation blotches here and there on that particular leaf. Get one more here. The leaves I'm pulling out now are larger than that first one. Here's a portion of a leaf, not a full leaf. Still ragged edges. A couple little dots here and there of oxidation. A thicker middle vein on these particular leaves compared to, say, other teas you may have tried. So, set that off to the side. Get to the liquor now. Let me give this a swirl. Hold that up to the light, and you see it's a bright yellow-green color. Okay, still got a lot of greenness to this particular tea guanyin. Still these sweet, sweet pea flower, sweet hyacinth type notes. A little bit towards a kind of a beany element. Very light, and this would be more of a light, fresh lima bean. Give that a pour. See what's going on here when I taste this. Texture. Not watery, not creamy by any means, and not really buttery either. So this one's how should I say, a thicker, thicker water, more a richer, light, somewhere between a light broth and a very minerally water. You know, there's something that's got a bit of a slickness to it. So it's somewhere in there as far as the texture goes. The aromas are more intense than any. Those characters are there in the taste, but they are more present in the aromas rather than what you actually taste. I'm going to try to let this cool just a little bit to see what kind of picks up. Teas like this, oftentimes as they cool, some of these characters, especially flavors, can really jump. Aftertaste, what I'm getting right now, again, still a residual, and it's still hanging on. So it's light, but fairly sustained. Again, kind of a light, very thin, light, brothy kind of feel. More, and I'm kind of a coating on the back half, the far back, maybe quarter of my tongue. Still has a thickness, a coating kind of feeling there. It's a nice cooling sensation, cooling feeling, especially on the underside of my tongue. All right, let me give this one more shot. Yeah, as this cools, especially that last sip there, picks up on some of that sweet pea, a little bit of that English laurel kind of component. Now, some Tieguanians, they're more lightly oxidized. They can be almost too intense, almost overpowering with the aromatics in it, and leave this kind of less than desirable other characters, almost little to no texture. This one keeps those components in balance. It's gentle and it's mild in its flavor. It's gentle and mild in its texture. Yet it holds on. It doesn't just drop off and slip away. So light, complex, yet sustained, not weak in that sense in its duration. Looking at this tea as a whole, something you'd want to consider also before I get into that is, how does this tea sit on your stomach? Greener Tieguanians like this give some people a kind of rumbly feeling. Some people describe it as creating too much acid in the stomach, cooling the stomach too much. Ways of saying that it can make you feel like you have an empty stomach. So there's something you might this green Qingxiang tea oolongs like this, like Tieguanians like this, are ones that you may want to have a little snack with to kind of fight that sensation. This tea as a whole, looking at this, like I was saying, in balance, not off-putting as far as excessive displays of aroma with nothing else to show. I would give this one a 90. Nice components, again, in balance with each other. So come back to Walker Tea Review, find the teas that don't exaggerate too much, that you want to sign up for the newsletter and have the tea review video delivered directly into your inbox so that you can see these right away. That you also if you want to subscribe to the member content, so that you get the more in-depth articles, reports about harvest periods, about different changes and for example, the pu'er market right now, in-depth information and interviews with people as well. So come back to Walker Tea Review to find all those things.